So it's got absolutely everything. It's got an emotional backstory for several characters. It's got, the biggest theme of it, if you really think about it and take a step back, it's people going above and beyond for other people.
Tell me the movie.
So the movie was called Santa with Muscles.
Is everybody knows that emotion of getting close to Christmas and being like, oh my God, I've not thought about this Christmas present for somebody. Yeah. Everyone knows the panic. Everyone knows the feeling of the mad dash. And this is just playing on that emotion, which I think is the reason why it's got such a cult following.
The sprinting through the airport, that era, kid would have got shot. Kid would have got...
I said exactly the same thing.
Right away.
Could you imagine that? Like, this should be Love Actually. It's exactly the same all the way to that. And then someone edits the ending. like, bang! I'm going to say this again. I said before we say the answer, like we did earlier, guys. If you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're not watching this YouTube, pause now the audio, go onto YouTube, and comment below. Before Rob says it, what's his #1 Christmas movie? We say it all together. 3, 2, 1. Just quickly before we get into the full show, for any of you who's watched this podcast before, you will know that I am super passionate about this podcast and getting on the most interesting guests to help you get better results with your fat loss, your business, your life, and your coaching skills. But at the moment, 85% of you who watch this channel aren't subscribed to the channel. The bigger the channel gets, the better the guests get, the more high production value the show gets, as well as the clips get. So if you're watching this, please, can you click subscribe, like, comment, improve interaction so YouTube know we are a channel to be reckoned with. And then we can take over, and then I'm coming for you, Joe Rogan. So, train strikes and snow. This is the most festive Christmas episode we could have got. You know, you didn't have snow last year when we did the Christmas special.
Wait, did we even have it last year? Probably not.
We didn't have it last year, but I can't believe, looking back, we did a Christmas special last year. And I was like, that's amazing how quickly a year seems to have passed.
That's like this one. We could talk about this on another episode, but time is actually moving faster. Like actually moving faster. Like CERN have done something.
What?
CERN done something when they were mucking around earlier this year, and they created portals and whatever. Time is actually moving faster now. And I've got the link.
Is that backed by stuff, or is that just like you going, I'm getting old and I hate it, I'm trying to find something to back this up?
I've got some links to prove it, but whether those links are reputable or not, it's not Wikipedia.
Is it a Pornhub movie, Rob?
We can share these off camera, maybe.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know if it's moving faster. That's scary.
Nothing too graphic. It does make you wonder, what do I do with my time when I am on the internet with no work to do? But not in a graphic way. Nothing that would get you banned from wherever you work.
Okay, that's good to know. We'll talk about that maybe off air, because today is all about festive stuff. Today is all about Christmas. So, and I'm hopefully that child in the background of you is having a good Christmas, because he doesn't sound like he is.
It's let's say too early in the morning for that amount of sugar that they've been shoving down. I might give him a lecture in a minute.
Yeah, like a proper tell him he's going to be on the naughty list.
Did you see this? Right? Did you see? Depending on how much time you spend on TikTok and Instagram Reels, do you remember the video with the kid where his dad is going, "You're on Santa's naughty list," and he's going, "Well, I'll applicate him," right? Now, phenomenal clip, just pure childlike innocence and humour at its absolute best, right? But some geezer did a reenactment of it, like he's in his late 20s or 30s, whatever. Did a reenactment of it, lip synced it, and this clip goes super fucking viral, right? And I'm kind of like, where's the appeal there? At what point do you get up in the morning and go, "Oh yeah, do you remember that really cool clip?" Rather than share that, I'm going to recreate it and lip sync it, and then suddenly that does bigger than the original clip potentially. I don't get people at the moment.
This is the thing in the world, right? This thing in the world. You know when modern art became a thing, and everyone was like, I don't understand the talent where someone's cut a Coke can in half and now that person's a multi-millionaire.
Yeah.
Is someone kidding that child?
They're not even attempting. They're just chomping into their own fucking cakes I have to apologise to the viewers at home. Due to train strikes, I can't get into London. And my own house is having severe building work done on it, where there's no electricity, heating, or Wi-Fi. So I've had to do the best I can.
Okay. It's not your fault. It's the kid in the background's fault.
They should know. They should know that Thursday mornings at this time we do this. They should know.
So this is what coffee shop are you in? By the way, may I ask?
I'm in by default Costa, which is the only coffee shop in Whittam. I didn't have
so Costa in Whittam. If any of you are a viewer of the show, not that it's going out live, by the way, but if you go in and see a child screaming, assume it's the same one and give it a smack,
Just
right?
And like that, I'll turn a blind eye.
Exactly.
I'll back you up. I'll be your alibi.
Yeah. Absolutely. You know, but remember that? So as I was saying with the modern art, right? People thought like, why are these people millionaires? I get the same thing when I watch YouTube shorts. There's this girl that keeps popping up on my YouTube shorts. Everything is like a 15-second lip sync, like how TikTok sort of started, right? And she is like just a video again, lip synced. I don't know what she sounds like. Saying that she's getting a silver YouTube subscriber thing,
right?
And that's her job.
Yeah. I know we're not going to talk too much about these today because we've got much more important pressing subjects to cover, including our first one.
Absolutely.
But I do for good reason. I limit the amount of time I spend on social media around this time for multiple reasons. One, I want to spend time with friends, family. I don't want to be living on my phone. But I think people get worse around this time of year in terms of trying to show things off and trying to show the highlight reel in terms of the presents they get, in terms of the places they're going, staged kissing in front of Christmas tree photos, staged fucking engagement videos. Why are you filming? Come on, bruv. And then a lot of the boy done good posts with whatever presents the woman gets on Christmas Day. And I'm just like, I can't deal with this. It's what should be a day where you're the most present, no pun included, no pun intended, the most present and moment focused you should be. Shouldn't be giving a fuck about your social media. Shouldn't be giving a fuck about posting that on Instagram or whatever. But people are getting worse and worse and worse.
I agree with you. But weren't you tagged in a photo in front of a Christmas tree about the boy done good recently?
No one said the boy done good. No one said the boy done good. Nor was it a highlight reel. And
yeah. So the purpose of this episode is to go through our favourite Christmas movies. And what we established when we were off air last week is that Die Hard is the greatest Christmas movie ever made.
Cool.
So it cannot be in our list because it is already, and should be, everyone's favourite Christmas movie.
Indeed.
Tell me why you think Die Hard is the best Christmas movie of all time.
Because it's got absolutely everything in it that is important at Christmas. There is community. There is striving to do the right thing, even if it's not necessarily your job to do so. There is putting other people first before your own safety. There's a great Christmas soundtrack, Christmas in Hollis by Run DMC.
I'm so glad that's the song you mentioned rather than Let It Snow, because I saw the Run DMC. Yes.
Let It Snow's in every Christmas film anyway. Overrated. Plus there's no snow in LA or California, wherever they were. So it's got absolutely everything. It's got an emotional backstory for several characters. It's got... the biggest theme of it, if you really think about it and take a step back, it's people going above and beyond for other people. Two main characters in that film that do not need to be doing what they're doing at that moment in time. They could have just left it all up to the other police, to the FBI, to anti-terror squad, all these different things. But instead, Detective John McClane and Sergeant Al Powell stepped up and did what was required above and beyond their pay grade and become the true heroes of the film. And that is, community building. That is giving. That is being more, what's the word? Not gift-centered. That's not even a sentence. Come on, Rob. But putting other people first. Is that not what it's all about? And then you get back based on how much you give. McClane gets his wife back. Sergeant Al Powell overcomes his past trauma. We don't know. After that film, he could have had to go into therapy for months after having to fire a gun again. Who knows?
Just out in time for Die Hard 2, of course.
Of course. I think he just recovered in time, and he was a little bit chirpier in Die Hard 2.
That was true. It was the therapy.
You know, but maybe it was the therapy. Maybe it was just the fact that, you know, this time he wasn't directly involved because the claim was miles away. I don't know.
It also has Alan Rickman, which makes any movie slightly
Of course,
better.
it has Alan Rickman.
You know,
and it has the greatest villain death of any movie ever made. And if that's not what Christmas is all about, I don't know what is.
I'm assuming you know why that villain death was so good.
Oh yes.
So for the people that don't know, the Alan Rickman was dropped from quite a height, not Nakatomi Plaza height, but they let him go earlier than he thought he was going to be let go. So that look of fear is genuine. You think that's the best Alan Rickman has ever acted? This not acting, totally genuine emotion. And I will add one to this, right? Nearly everybody gets a present, except Takagi. He doesn't end well.
No,
but
no.
like John gets his wife back. Alan Rickman and the people get their money, and then it's taken away. But they temporarily have a present. Our pal gets his confidence back. It's just full of festive fun.
Exactly. I mean, technically, Takagi, I'm going to take this off, it's so hot under that. There's, what even material is this? It's polyester. That means it's blowing my testosterone levels. But Takagi, you could say he gets to learn the secrets of the universe because he's dead, and, you know, whatever's beyond, he gets to learn before anyone else in that film. So that's the
festive cheer we're looking for.
Isn't it, really, you know?
That's the festive cheer we're looking for. I'm going to give you another quiz. We did this off air, by the way, because I'm in a quiz mindset today. Because I did a Christmas quiz with the team at the gym, and a Die Hard question for you. There are two people in Die Hard that have been villains in James Bond movies. Name the Die Hard character and the Bond movie they were in.
There are two people in Die Hard that have been villains.
Bond villains
in Bond films.
Yes.
Ooh.
So you don't need to know the actors. If you name who they play in Die Hard and the Bond movie they were in,
right?
That is your game for the day. You will. I think you will definitely get one of them.
As in the main, surely not the main Bond villain.
One of them was the main Bond villain.
Oh wow! I'm gonna.
For any James Bond fans what listening to this, if you listen to this, what I want you to do, guys, whilst Rob's trying to work this out, I want you to go onto YouTube. I want you to subscribe to the channel, and then I want you to comment below this video what you think this was. Don't cheat and wait for the answer. Tell me what you think this is as soon as you get to this part. Write in the comments what your answers are. There are two. One is obvious, one is trickier.
Trying to think I'm just trying to think who's the most evil looking person, not necessarily the most evil character in it, but the most evil looking was the one of the Agent Johnsons. But I'm trying to think, what was he in a Bond? Or was he in a Pierce Brosnan one, maybe?
Do you want a hint?
I want to say...
I won't technically give you that. I'll narrow it down to 50-50 for you.
Okay.
One of them is one of the Agent Johnsons. However, both of those Agent Johnsons were in the same Bond movie.
Well, that's blown my mind. That's actually blown my mind.
You're going to watch this Bond movie again straight away after this,
Oh,
aren't you?
Of course I am. Right, that's tonight's task. It's tonight's task. Jesus. Am I right in thinking Brosnan era?
No. Not a million miles away, though.
Shit, you've done me here. But the answer you're looking for is not both Johnsons, right?
No.
Because then I would automatically go for maybe Carl. I don't know the
Carl.
actor's name.
Interesting.
I don't know the actor's name.
You're right.
Carl.
Hold on. Which brother was Carl?
Carl was the not the one who ends up with the Christmas jumper. The other one with the long hair.
The long hair, the one that lasts to the end?
Yes, the one who comes out at the end. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no,
not Carl. So I forget his name.
Whatever his name was. Yes, I don't remember his name in Die Hard. He was the henchman in Living Daylights. you know when he goes in the embassy, and he's firing the milk bottles that explode.
Right. Okay.
But that is the hard one.
That may blow my mind. Blow my mind there.
And how have you not got the easy one?
That's incredible. Let me think.
You're going to kick yourself for this one.
Name, but it's the one who automatically looks evil.
So you're
I
looking
think
at the black guy or the white guy?
The white guy.
Which white?
The
Black
white
Johnson
guy.
or White Johnson?
I'm going with White Johnson.
White Johnson. White Johnson. God, that sounds really terrible, doesn't it? White Johnson was Sanchez in License to Kill. The main villain in License to Kill. Right? And the at the start of License to Kill, where you have the gun barrel sequence, if you remember that movie, they're off to Felix Leiter's wedding,
Right.
and the FBI or the CIA come down and they tell them that they've caught Sanchez, and they all go and fight him, and then they come back and they parachute into the wedding, right? The Black Johnson is one of the CIA or FBI agents who's fighting alongside Bond.
Amazing.
So they're adversaries in Bond and partners in Die Hard.
Amazing. To be fair, White Johnson, as we now call him, he was in a ton of stuff. It's easy to forget.
Yes.
Ton of stuff. Just because he looked a certain way, you know? Looked a certain way.
License to Kill was one of my favourite Bond movies growing up as a kid, purely because I had a 15 label. When I was young, I was like, I'm watching the naughty one.
Mate, that's why Die Hard was one of the first films I saw. Being babysat, I would have been 6, 7, right? I was being babysat.
It was the first.
Put it on.
It's the first 18. It's the first 18 movie 18 thing I saw that wasn't pro wrestling. I think.
Yeah.
Or a Channel 5 movie. But like, so Die Hard 1 or Die Hard 2, which is the better Christmas movie?
Oh, well, 2 is a bit more Christmassy because obviously there's snow and a lot more Christmas elements to it. But in terms of the better movie in any way, shape or form, obviously is number 1. So I would still class number 2 technically as a Christmas film as well, like I would do with Batman Returns and stuff like that, even though it's not necessarily the main premise.
Interesting, yeah.
Not the main premise, but I just believe if
I think Die Hard.
Christmas, you can call it a Christmas film. Of course you can.
I think Die Hard 1 is more of a Christmas movie, though, because you have the music and you have the Christmas party. It's set at Christmas.
Exactly.
It's not that... Batman Returns isn't that Christmassy, other than the fact that Tim Burton just feels a bit Christmassy.
It's true. Yeah.
I found out today, not going off topic too much, by the way, on the topic of Batman, that Robin Williams was supposed to play the Joker in the original Tim Burton Batman movie.
If you look up all the different scripts and projects between Batman and Robin, which was obviously horrendous, and Batman Begins, there's about 20 minimum projects with actors like almost ready to go, with scripts written, that never saw the light of day, that never got the production going, yes, let's do that. Some could have been amazing, some could have butchered that franchise even harder than it already got butchered. We'll never know. But Robin Williams in one, that could have been incredible, but would it have detracted from the role that we're like, it's Robin Williams?
Would it go a little bit like Jim Carrey and the Riddler?
It could have been too over the top. It could have been. Who knows? But we have seen Robin Williams can do dark pretty well in a couple of films. We have seen that. So I don't know.
So going on to and a segue here nicely into what are the Christmas movies you watch that? What are the movies that aren't Christmas movies that are characteristically Christmassy for you? Like, this is something I always watch at Christmas time.
So when it comes around to Christmas time, I watch all my Christmas movies up to the point of Christmas. And then in that week after, where you're probably not going to work and just milling about and overeating whatever, that's when the non-Christmassy ones, one's a little bit Christmassy, that's when the non-Christmassy ones come in, including copious amounts of Bond. Boxing Day to New Year.
My first one was Bond.
All day, every day. You could do a
Do you think Prime will pull the finger out and put a Prime marathon back on because they keep just dipping their toe in, letting you have a Bonds for a month and taking them away?
I hope so. It
angers me.
It got to the point where I just bought most of them. The ones I want to watch over that time.
I'm halfway through A Spy Love Me.
Yeah.
Halfway through it and it cut me off. That's why I watch Rush Hour. But yeah, Bond is for me massively Christmassy, and especially a good Roger Moore.
Yes, that era.
A sillier one.
I might treat myself to a Daniel Craig, but it's mostly one or two Sean's, but a lot of Roger. A lot. It's rare that I go to the Pierce one. Rare.
Roger is my other than Lazenby. This might be controversial. Roger is my least favourite Bond.
Right.
So, but he's my favourite around Christmas because it's silly and Christmassy in the sense of it's just a bit stupid.
Yeah.
But I would totally go Connery, Craig, Dalton, Moore, Lazenby.
I like that.
I think Dalton's a underestimated
Yeah, mate,
megastar.
they're incredible.
Oh, I didn't even mention Brosnan. I think Dalton beats Brosnan.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I think I like that. He was
Brosnan
Craig
wasn't amazing.
before Craig was cool.
Yeah, Brosnan wasn't amazing. It's where it was still ridiculously silly, but in an odd way. In an odd way. I can't find the words to explain it. I'm not.
I think
a
he's
big fan of
tarnished
those
by
ones.
Die Another Day, though.
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
On the topic of Bond, I'm going to have one more Bond, because this isn't a Bond podcast. We've done a lot of them, but I do want to go through, as we are both huge Bond fans and have done Bond shows. Aaron Taylor-Johnson, the rumour is he has filmed the gun barrel sequence. I think you have to put a massive pinch of salt in this, because the Barbara and Barbara Broccoli and Harry Saltzman have said they haven't even started looking.
Sure.
I didn't know who this guy was. I don't think you do either, because you're Googling it.
Yeah, I know.
But I am not against this when I look at him.
He's in Angus
First initial
Stones
thoughts.
and Perfect Snogging. He was in
I mean,
Kick-Ass.
that's the
He was
resume.
in Kick-Ass. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I could see him as. I don't know if I see him as Bond. Needs to cut that hair, shave that beard, and that. We're not doing that. We're not going down the scraggly Bond road, please. I don't know.
To fill you with hope, though, the announcement has come out today that Henry Cavill will not be reprising his role of Superman in the next DC.
That's why I'm putting
film.
my money back on. Back on.
Because, why? Why wouldn't you take it? That's a payday.
Yeah.
That's a big payday. And I don't think they're turning him down. Is that preempting something? Or is it just him going, I don't want to take myself out of the running?
Maybe. I know. I understand the whole DC franchise is screwed at the moment, and the studio are horrendous, and the directors are doing the best they can, of course. I'm sure, but as soon as I read that this morning, I'm gutted because I love him as Superman. I absolutely adore him as Superman, but
You love him more as Bond.
I fucking love him as Bond, bro.
He is born and bred to be that man.
Exactly.
Why did his parents call him Henry Cavill? Change the name to Deepole to James Bond. He is so perfect. He is so perfect.
He literally is the stereotypical. Not even stereotypical. It's just the blueprint of it. Really good.
And if anyone's listening to this and goes, "No, I don't see it," watch A Man for an Uncle, and if you still don't see it, shut up.
Yeah. I hear
you're
the
not welcome.
that he's too clean cut. Bond is clean cut. Daniel Craig's the first
It's
one.
only Daniel Craig that wasn't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And if Craig is your top Bond, okay, I can see why you're saying that, but it's just too easy a choice. Just because it's the modern one, that's all you're doing. You're just remembering the most recent thing you've seen. So, back off.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Agreed.
saying.
So, what other movies get you in that Christmas to New Year thing for you? So, we've got James Bond. What else makes the cut?
Two definite franchises, one of which I flip and change. Three things, but two definite franchises always watching that period. Rocky. Always.
Interesting.
Always. And Harry Potter's.
Harry Potter is the one. I'm not even a Harry Potter fan, but I feel like it's now a Christmas staple.
Yeah.
There's just something a bit magical about it at Christmas. The music fits, the vibe fits. And I'm going to buy the video game because it looks ridiculous.
100%. That could
How
get me,
good does that game look?
That could get me back into gaming. 100%. That looks phenomenal.
Like, the world looks
Could
amazing.
lose hours every single day for the rest of my life. But I wouldn't mind.
So, I'm going to give you one that I have now, because Harry Potter was mine, Bond was my other one. I'm going to give you one that's in mine, and I'm also going to give you one that I'm surprised is not on either of our lists.
Okay.
The one that's on mine, Toy Story.
Ooh, yeah.
I don't feel more festive to Toy Story.
I get that.
And the Toy Story is one of two movies that has made me cry
Right.
in my life. Well, not quite. I'm not much, for people who don't know me, listen to this, I'm not much of a crier, really at all. I'm a soft, sensitive soul, I really am, but I'm not a crier. And Lion King, obviously, like, if you don't die, you don't die. If you don't cry from Lion King, you're dead inside. But for me, I watched Toy Story 3, right? And everyone thinks it's like the moment when they're going into the lava, everyone starts crying. When Andy gives away his toys, spoilers.
Right.
That's people are crying. For me, you know, at the start when they sort of do the thing where like this, the real reenactment of what the kid's playing,
Okay.
and it goes up to the sky, and Randy Newman's, you got a friend in me starts playing. I've never had a rush of childhood emotion hit me
Really?
so quickly in my life, because I had the blue paint on the ceiling and the clouds on my bedroom because I like Toy Story,
Yeah.
and then growing up with those and then hearing that music, it's just like I was sunk back into being like 8 years old, and it was just so overwhelming. And I think those movies are absolute masterpieces.
Yeah,
and I don't think I'll include 4 in that. It's not as good, but I think people that criticise 4 are only doing because 1 to 3 was so good.
They are incredible.
But it's still good.
1 to 3 are amazing, beyond amazing. For kids and adults alike, especially if you were a kid when it came out as well. You'll always get those in a special place. Amazing.
So the one I'm surprised is not in either our list is The Great Escape.
Because for me, that's one of the things where I go, that's like my older brother, old man's type era. The things they would watch around now. When I would probably be going, I want to play my toys or jump in a video game or something like that. So that's why those ones, you know what, I probably still would. But they're not my immediate choices.
I like The Great Escape, but it's not my immediate choice either.
I've got to get me Bonds, me Rockies, me Harry Potters, and a couple of superhero films in. But that changes every single year.
Yes.
That changes.
Yes. So before we go into our top movies, let's go into some of the ones that you think are the shittest.
Ooh. Oh, I didn't even think of this. Now, are we going to do this like our horror movies and just... I could come up with the ones you get on Netflix that you're not likely to watch.
So if you do that for yours and come up with a few answers, I will give you my 3 in one go, and then we'll alternate for the top Christmas movie.
Okay.
Number 1 is Santa's Sleigh with Bill Goldberg.
Oh my God.
For people who don't know, Bill Goldberg is a pro wrestler, a phenomenally charismatic, strong, powerful motherfucker, but not a great wrestler. But he's a worse actor.
Yeah.
And he plays an evil Santa Claus that kills people. It verges, and the reason why this is it's the first one I said, not the last one, it verges onto the kind of so bad it's good territory.
Yeah.
But it's really bad. The second one I have in here it's a new one called Single All the Way on Netflix. Have you seen this?
I haven't seen this.
So it's about 2 gay best friends, and he wants to bring this guy home to meet his family at Christmas. He wants to be single for another Christmas. They break up just before, so he brings his best friend. All the family want him to be with his best friend, and they orchestrate to make it happen. Not much of a spoiler here, but it's just that little bit too much for me. It's a little bit too, a bit of cheesiness. I'm all for, but like, it's just a bit too much.
Sounds a bit odd. Funnily enough, one of mine features a pro wrestler as well. We'll see if you ever saw it or if you can remember it. But yeah, that sounds a bit dodgy.
So I think the last one I have here is Last Christmas. Have you seen it?
This is the Wham one,
with Emilia Clarke, who is on my which immediately makes the film good, right? Okay. So for an Emilia Clarke movie to be bad, it must be bad because she is in my top 5 of women ever in the world. Okay. And Harry Golding, and they start dating and you find out he's dead. Sorry, spoilers again, guys, but it's a Christmas movie. It's just crap.
Yeah, I never got around to watching that for good reason. Obviously, it just didn't look like it appealed to me. I was never a huge George Michael or Wham fan anyway, so why would I want to go see that? But just to backtrack a little bit, you're saying about the what was the one you just called it? The one you said before.
Last Christmas was Single All the Way. Single All the Way.
Before that, what did you say?
You must say Santa's Sleigh with Goldberg.
The premise of trying to go with a slightly more evil or not, cuddly old man type Santa thing, I think can work because there are some phenomenal Christmas-based horror films. Some phenomenal ones, but they're rare because it's risky, right? It's risky as soon as you go off blueprint, as soon as you go off the stock Santa, things get a little bit crazy and a bit too much artistic license. But there are some, none of them have made my top 5, but there are some phenomenal Christmas horror movies. But there are some absolutely trash, terrible Christmas movies that are in the horror genre as well.
So what have you found? What's the bad ones that you've recognised?
So ones that I was thinking of myself. One of my favourite horror films ever, we might have spoke about this on our horror episode, was one called Black Christmas. And it was a movie from the 70s, sorority house, killers in the house, whatever, set at Christmas. Yes. And it was phenomenal. One of the best horrors I've ever saw. Well, it certainly stuck with me. In 2006, they remade it. And they upped the cheesiness, they upped the Christmas of it, they completely butchered it, and there was not a single moment in there where I was like, this ain't even scary in the slightest. Not even the slightest. So I would 100% put that in there. If you have seen it, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it, don't ever watch it unless it's the one made in the 70s. That is the one you want to watch. The other one I'm going to say till the end, but there's a couple I've just found online as well by going on Rotten Tomatoes. And they all seem to be the third or fourth in already existing franchises. Now, I would agree with this one. The Santa Claus, Claus, E on the end, 3. The third of the Tim Allen Santa Clauses.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Jack Frost. That was horrendously bad.
Jack Frost is in the one with Michael Keaton.
And Jack Frost, the film, is the one with Michael Keaton as well.
Yeah. Well, that's bad.
Yeah, and that was bad. There seems to be a lot of hate for something I've never seen, but I know
he was Batman.
And he was Batman.
That's what I'm saying. He was Batman. Yeah. It's like when Pierce Brosnan sang in Mamma Mia. It just ruined an illusion.
It's true. True. You can destroy your entire life's career with one film. A film I've never seen, but it's almost like meme culture bad. Is the Star Wars Holiday Special. Have you ever seen this?
What?
I've heard a million things about this, and Family Guy always took the mick out of it. I've never seen it. A Christmas Star Wars film with all the cast in it. I think it was straight to VHS. I think.
Oh my god! I need to find this film.
Yeah, you'll probably find it. Like I say, it's like meme culture type level, depending on how much Family Guy you watch. I'll give you one more of the end of the franchise, and then I'll tell you my one, which, funnily enough, features a pro wrestler. See if you can guess it. Obviously, the Santa Claus 3. They've put Home Alone 3 and 4 in here, and I think that's justifiable, having never seen either. I think that's justifiable.
Three is bad.
Yeah.
3 is really bad.
Yeah. I never saw any reason for watching that. It was just too good, man.
There's a mileage to Home Alone, and I will say this because it's not one of my top 5.
Yeah.
Is it one of yours?
It is.
Okay, cool. So I won't say too much because we'll cross the bridge then, but it's I think there's a mileage to it. There's a certain amount you can do before it just becomes very repetitive.
Oh yeah, exactly. There's only so far you can take that by far. So yeah.
So what's yours?
Now, features a pro wrestler. So we're going back though. We're going back to the 90s.
Okay.
But he wasn't necessarily wrestling in the 90s.
Okay, I've got a feeling I know who this might be, but tell me the movie.
So the movie was called Santa with Muscles.
Now, the fact is you're assuming that I'm going to say Hulk Hogan, right? And I'm not going to. And I might regret this. But is it Roddy Piper?
You broke up there, just as you said the name.
Is it Roddy Piper?
You were correct with, and now Roddy has been in a few, but you were correct with Hogan. You were correct.
Oh my god, that sounds awful.
It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. He played a millionaire, not a very believable millionaire. They just one scene with him in a suit and a sports car. But he gets in an accident and he gets amnesia and he starts believing he's Santa Claus. Obviously, he has muscles, so he's going into shopping malls and going, "You're not the real Santa, I am."
Yo ho ho, brother!
And people are going, "Get out of here, you bum!" And he's picking them up by the throat, and it's terrible.
Only white guys get presents.
Oh, it's terrible. It's so bad.
Oh my god. So, moving now onto the list of the top Christmas movies after Die Hard. I have 5 on my list. Do you have 5?
I have 5.
Perfect. Shall I start?
God.
And we'll alternate.
God.
Number 5 has to be Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Too good.
It is definitely in the so bad it's good territory. It is a bit shit.
Yeah.
But I just think it's the most comical Arnie's ever been. It's the one where they put the cookie down, or was that Kindergarten Cop?
Put the cookie down.
Yeah, put the cookie down. Has the Big Show.
Shout it at Phil Hartman when he's on the phone.
Yeah. Has the Big Show in it.
Yeah.
Has that big Santa Claus. And I really wanted to be Turbo Man as a kid.
Yeah, I get that.
So I love it.
That's a
You know,
phenomenal
like
choice.
what's your thoughts on Jingle All the Way?
Mate, it's incredible. It's one I would watch every single year. That's in my run-up. Get my non-negotiable run-up to Christmas every single time. It's great. Okay, yeah, it is a bit kitsch, a bit camp. And Arnie's acting is obviously horrendous. But it's funny and it's almost tradition.
Fun.
And it is fun. It is a fun movie to watch. And it also, at the same time, is a really, really accurate portrayal of how crazy fucking people go, how selfish they are. It nails it. Absolutely nails it in so many different areas. And it used to be a case of you'd watch that as a kid and be like, well, that's America, isn't it? You don't get it over here. But now, in the last 10 years or so, that's exactly what happens over here. If it didn't already.
I think when we look at, like, when we go into the horror movies, what makes horror movies so interesting is that you can really pick apart the each scene and be, like, very critical of, like, the suspense and the drama and the backstory and the context and things like this. And you feel sometimes you can't really do that too much with Christmas movies because they're a little bit more surface layer and fun.
Yeah.
But with Jingle All the Way, I don't think they necessarily have thought of being funny, but I think what's great about it is everybody knows that emotion of getting close to Christmas and being like, oh my God, I've not thought about this Christmas present for somebody.
Yeah.
Everyone knows the panic. Everyone knows the feeling of the mad dash. And this is just playing on that emotion, which I think is the reason why it's got such a cult following, because people can relate to, in a way, what Arnie is going through.
Yeah, and they don't make too much of a big thing about it being Arnie. He's not used as the bodybuilder to too much effect, which I think was great. But yeah, man, that's a good choice. That's a great choice. Is that top then?
What's your number 5?
Oh, it's 5. We're doing 5.
No, it's number 5. I'm going in reverse order.
Sweet. I like that. So my number 5 is Scrooged with Bill Murray.
Oh, I haven't seen that in a long time.
I adore that film. That used to make me howl as a kid. It's a phenomenal portrayal of the Christmas Carol in adult form, with Bill Murray just being his most over-the-top, erratic, crazed self, with some incredible one-liners in there, an amazing supporting cast. It's intensely Christmassy. It's from the moment I saw that as a kid, mate, it's hooked. Absolutely hooked on it. So I'll put Scrooge in as number 5. Yeah.
I haven't seen that in such a long time. That's a really, really good thing.
Every year for me.
So my number 4 is maybe it's not, I wouldn't say controversial, but I would say it's controversial because I reckon people all I'm generally that person when there's a cover song. I always go, well, it's not the original, isn't it? But my number 4 is a remake. And it's the remake of The Miracle on 34th Street.
Ooh,
the one with Matilda.
Yeah.
And the reason why, and maybe I won't spoil this one, but the reason why is because unlike most remakes that are just straight remakes, the ending is different in the remake to the first. And I think it's better. I think it's a better reason as to why this man can be Santa Claus. And I just think it's a very magical movie. I think Richard Attenborough was unbelievable as Santa Claus. Like, I think he's the best portrayal of Santa Claus I have seen in a live action movie.
Intensely believable. Really, really was. Like, fully embodied. Sounds a weird thing to say.
And the girl,
Santa with that kid's career, but
what an incredible family, by the way, Richard and David. These two brothers that have had crazy success in different realms, right? Unbelievable, right? Both got to good stints as well, you know. Obviously, David's still with us. Touch wood, that never changes. But, like, I also think the girl that plays Matilda, and I can't remember the actress's name, is one of the only people, now I'm going to mention this later in one of my honourable mentions, it's one of the only kid characters that gets away with being smarter than the years. You know when Hollywood tries to make people like kids smartasses and insanely unlikable? She is, but she kind of gets away with it, and I don't know why.
She was everywhere, that girl, as well. Like, in that era, she was everywhere. I mean, what else did she do? She was in... she was one of the kids in Doubtfire. Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh, yes.
Obviously, Matilda, obviously, Miracle on 34th Street. She was everywhere. Everywhere.
Yeah, so what's your number 4?
So for number 4, I'm going to go with Santa Claus the Movie. Now, this is not Tim Allen one. This is one we spoke about a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
I had to show you a screenshot of it. So I forget the actor's name, but it's got Dudley Moore's in it. I forget the villain's name. But basically, it starts with like a little prequel. It's like a Christmas classic, really is. It starts with a little prequel of, let me get some actors' names up here, 1985. A prequel of how this guy becomes Santa Claus. John Lithgow's the villain, that's it.
Okay.
And, you know, the North Pole already exists, the elves already exist. They're kind of like, this is your destiny, you're meant to be the Santa character. And it's then kind of modern as well. He comes to New York, he meets this homeless kid. There's a villain who runs a toy company, and one of the elves starts working for him, and it all goes a little bit wrong. It's just very Christmassy but modern at the same time. It's full of product placement, so full of product placement. It's the reason that every Christmas Eve I want to get a McDonald's. Because there's a particular scene. If anyone knows this film I'm talking about, they'll know why I want a McDonald's every Christmas Eve in this film.
Whenever you say product placement, it always reminds me of Wayne's World.
Yeah.
We never bow down to our sponsors.
Calgon? Oh man, yeah.
I don't think I've seen this movie.
Really?
And I feel like I need to.
I swear everyone when I was a kid had seen it. But now I find less and less people have actually seen it than I thought would. So maybe it's not that popular, but it'll definitely be on the Christmas channels, and you know, Netflix will have it, probably. Prime certainly will have it.
Interesting.
It is out there. That's been around.
So my number 3 is the most modern one on my list, and it's Klaus.
Klaus, cool.
I remember we're trying to find every year. Ellie tries to find new like Christmas movies, like something we haven't seen, and they're nearly always average chick flicks or really shit chick flicks in some of the couple I mentioned earlier on. But we found this movie and I was like, oh, this is going to be great. Despite having Joe Joel Jameson, and the guy from the drumming movie.
Miles.
Same guy.
Yeah.
But I was struggling to get into it for a while, and then it just built and it built and built. So probably one of my favourite Christmas movies of all time. It's just a wonderful, uplifting story, and it's paced very well, where each thing is subtle and it just builds and builds and builds. So when he actually comes through, you're like, yes, this is a Santa Claus story I can get behind.
Yeah.
I just think it's wonderful.
It is amazing. I think it was only last year that I got around to seeing it with my brother's twins. Mind-blowingly good. I don't think enough people have seen that either. I think it's almost...
No, I think it's last year for me too.
Yeah, so there you go. More people need to see that. If you haven't seen it, of any films we're talking about today, definitely go. Definitely hunt that one out if you haven't seen it. Funnily enough, my number 3 is also pretty much animated. My number 3 is Nightmare Before Christmas. For me.
It's so close went on mine. It's so close on mine. And it's because, despite the fact that we started off talking about how much Die Hard was a Christmas movie, I didn't know whether it counted in my head as a Christmas movie.
Sure.
It's a Tim Burton Halloween movie with a Christmas theme.
True, very true.
But it's brilliant.
Very true. It is amazing.
It's very, very
good.
Absolutely
amazing. And it is one of those things you could be forgiven for watching at any point at any time in the year, you know? So if you want to watch it at Halloween, cool, you watch it at Halloween. If you want to watch it at Christmas, you watch it at Christmas. It works either way. Whereas some Christmas films you wouldn't be watching any other time of year except Christmas, you know? But yes, technically, it is a Halloween movie, more than a Christmas film. But because of its Christmas scenes and its premise, for me, it instantly goes in there, and it's a phenomenal film as well that destroys.
I think anything Tim Burton does, other than Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, everything Tim Burton does becomes gold.
Yeah,
and I think I love the style. I love Edward Scissorhands. I love these Batman movies, and I just love that slight creepiness. I love the music of it. I just think it's great. And I tell you what, out of all the things on this, it's the hardest to make. I can see why everything's computer generated now. I would hate to have done plasticine animation. What Wallace and Gromit creators, what Aardman must have had to do. Yeah. Ever so slight movement, take a shot. Ever so slight movement. Like, that is literally patience that I could not even imagine.
Painstaking amount of patience. And if you see Guillermo del Toro is doing a Pinocchio stop animation as well. Imagine that. Imagine that. And he's showing some behind-the-scenes clips of process behind it. And it's still fascinating. Even though we've seen the behind-the-scenes stuff when Aardman first came out, Wallace and Gromit, whatever, or even before that, it's still mind-blowing to watch. It really is incredible. It's so interesting to see. Yeah.
My number 2 is the movie I've actually seen this year already. And it's The Holiday.
That's what I watched Monday night.
It is... I think it's great,
It's amazing.
and I think it's outside of School of Rock. Obviously, it is Jack Black's best performance.
Yeah,
I think he's believable. I think he shows some acting chops in it.
Yeah.
I think the cast is great with like Cameron Diaz and Kate Winslet and Jack Black. It's like, I think it's a great Jude Law. Great story, good actors, incredibly Christmassy, and it's not over the top.
No. Incredibly Christmassy, and every character in there is relatable to 99% of the population. Every single character is going through something in that movie that we've all kind of been through, or is experiencing some emotion, or there's a scene where we're like, yep, that's how I would act in that scene. It's phenomenal. And it's one of those ones that, I said this on the Monday night, it's one of those Christmas films that boys can like. Fellas could get away with watching that on their own. Definitely.
I think so. Even if it's just because you kind of want to be Jude Law. Like, that was peak Jude Law suave.
Peak Jude suave, definitely.
Yes, yeah. Even if you did cry a little bit too much.
That's the only bit that gets. That's the only scene I don't like. So when she runs back into the house and he stood there crying, I'm like, bruv, come on, be the man, step up, come on.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I mean, it does play back to the fact that he says he cries all the time, and the fact that she does, I suppose. But I think it's a really, really wonderful movie. What's your number 2?
Number 2 for me. Now I know we kind of discussed this already. But the one that makes me feel most Christmassy, out of the 2, which are amazing, is the first Home Alone. So that makes me feel more Christmassy than
because
Home Alone 2.
I think people would disagree with you.
But I think Home Alone 2 is a better film. But in terms of Christmas, what makes me more Christmassy and what's more of a Christmas tradition, and again, the music, the soundtrack, even though it's the same in Home Alone 2 as well, that one really gets me every time.
Why is Home Alone 1 more Christmassy for you?
Because again, it's set at home. The houses on that street look absolutely phenomenal. It's absolutely covered in snow. So I think in terms of Christmas premise, it fits the bill for me. But I think in terms of funniness, plot, scenery, premise, Home Alone 2 is a much better film. But when it comes to Christmas, it's all about feeling, isn't it?
They are the worst parents in the world.
Mate, how
Twice.
How half of those kids didn't get taken away from them? We'll never know.
Yes. It wasn't a foster house, was it? Or was it a foster house?
There's so many rumours about. I love the fact that I just love the internet now. Come on, there's a culture where people try and figure out what Kevin's dad did to have that amount of money for that house and those holidays and support all those kids. And there's some like, I guess you call it fan fiction. But there's some people that have joined the dots and showed how he's a gangster, how he's like a full-on criminal, and that's why the Wet Bandits targeted his house, because he's the big daddy and they want their shot. And I'm like, who has the time to do this? But I'm glad that they do.
Oh my God. I love that so much.
But you read it and you go,
are they foster children?
It's kind of believable, right?
Are they foster children, or is he really enjoying his Friday nights?
I think it's technically some very different looking, but all brothers and sisters, I believe. I don't think there's anything that suggests they're fosters. Who knows?
My days. Like the stamina on that man and the ability for that woman to forget pain is astronomical.
It's mad, isn't it? When you think about it, they probably didn't really think this through. But, yeah.
I don't think they think it through. The amount of things that would have killed these bad guys that you just got to sort of just expect is fine.
God, yeah. Could have been really bad. Could have been entirely
But the TV and the pizza is a classic scene, right?
Incredible. So many amazing bits. Yeah.
So that leaves me with my top Christmas movie of all time, right? It's not The Snowman.
Fuck The Snowman. Overrated.
The thing with Snowman, I think it's an incredibly wonderful Christmas cartoon, but it just ends so sad, and it kind of ruins it. It's supposed to be a happy time, and you just leave feeling miserable at the end of The Snowman. Yeah. But Raymond Briggs' Father Christmas, on the other hand, is amazing. For people who haven't seen it, it's where Father Christmas it gives you the story what Father Christmas does between the 26th and the 24th, the 26th December to the 24th of the following December. And he goes on holiday. And you see him in like France and he eats too much and he gets sick, and you see him in Vegas, and then you see him like swim in the in Loch Ness when he goes to Scotland and gets chased by a shark for whatever reason in the Loch Ness. You know, and like I just think it's great, and he's a grumpy bastard. And I love as well that they play the parallel from the Snowman. Like they play that same scene, but from his point of view. And I think that is great. I think it's one of the generally it's my most fun Christmas movies ever. It's not long. You can watch it very easy on an afternoon, and I just think it's by far my favourite.
Definitely.
Like a country mile.
Yeah, man, I get that. I totally get that. That is a Christmas staple, and if people haven't seen it, and they were books, if they haven't read the books are just as appealing and endearing around that time of year. Phenomenal choice. I like it.
What's your number one?
For me, it's a play on a classic. So obviously, the greatest Christmas story ever told is Christmas Carol, and there are multiple iterations. That I've watched all of.
I'm going to say this again. I said before you say the answer, like we did earlier, guys. If you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're not watching this on YouTube, pause now the audio, go onto YouTube, and comment below before Rob says it. What's his number one Christmas movie? We say it all together. 3, 2, 1. The Muppets Christmas Carol.
Mate, I'm obsessed with that movie because I was obsessed with the Muppets as a kid, and that again has all the Christmas elements ticked, and everyone's incredible.
It really does.
And you know, Michael Caine is Michael Caine doing what he does, and there's just there's some jokes in that film that still have me howling on the floor now as a 40-year-old man, the same as they did when I was a little kid watching it. For me, non-negotiable top Christmas film.
Interesting. I love that. And I've not watched that in a while, and I think I'm going to. So before we close out, we're going to go through our honourable mentions, and I have 4. And then we're going to discuss what's going to happen at the first episode that we're going to do in 2023. And annoyingly, you're going to like this. I think, if I remember correctly. So my first honourable mention is Holiday Inn.
Holiday Inn? What's that one?
So, you seen White Christmas?
Yeah.
It's the first White Christmas. It's in black and white with the Bing Crosby and Fred. Is it Fred Astaire?
Frankie, isn't it?
I'm not sure if Fred Astaire. Yeah, Frankie. Yeah. Fred Astaire's second one, and they buy this Holiday Inn to do these dance numbers, and they open up for the holidays. So they'll go Christmas, they'll go Easter, they'll go all these things. They're just dots between them, and it's a black and white movie. It's where the song White Christmas came from.
Sure.
And it is what is this kid happening to this kid? It is problematic because of it's been edited on Netflix now because of blackface.
No, did they really?
They do it, yeah. I think it was Thanksgiving one.
Yeah.
They have blackface.
Hey.
But if you can get yourself a DVD and watch the original, it's a really wonderful. It's a really wonderful movie.
White Christmas is cool. Yeah, it's a little bit aged, but that's a good choice. I'll take that. My first one, and this is probably the most modern out of all of my one. I think it came out 2015, 16, maybe even a little later than that. It's called The Night Before. It's not Night Before Christmas. It's called The Night Before. Seth Rogen, Anthony Mackie, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and I just watched it on a whim because I think it came out on Netflix, and I saw it in the cinema. I had nothing else to do, and I was just like, let's go cinema, choose something random. Christmas film. I like Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I'm not the biggest fan of Seth Rogen. And I watched it, and yes, it's proper boy, adult, drug humour, but it is very Christmassy as well. It's a little bit heartfelt in places, and again, one of the funniest films I'd seen in so long that it almost cracked my top 5. Almost. And I watch it, and I still watch it every year. It's in my run-up to Christmas.
That will go on my list. My honourable mention, which is a surprise that neither of us have mentioned, I'm surprised it's in neither of our top 5s. And I bet the girl you're seeing, it'll be in her top 5. And I know it's in my fiance's top 5. Do you know what I'm going to say?
If you're going to say the one that boys aren't allowed to watch on their own.
I think you could probably get away with it, but it's Love Actually. Is that what you were thinking?
That's what I thought you was going to say.
Yes.
It's not in my honourable mentions because it's lower down, but I still watch it every year. Of course I do.
Yeah, I've watched it already this
There's
year.
as many
and I think
parts of it that infuriate me as there is parts that I enjoy.
I think the things like that ruins it for me. You know, I said I'd come back to this. The girl from Matilda gets away with it, but this boy is supposed to be like 7, 8, who's actually 13. He's too wise for his years. He's a miserable little prick.
Yeah.
And he just ruins the movie for me because he's so like he's an 8-year-old, right? He should be watching James Bond with his father. But instead, he's sitting there going, "Dad, I found love. The life is awful without this woman." And he gets a peck on the cheek and then he's happy. What is this kid?
Oh my god, it's so weird and so many questionable bits involving that kid. Like the sprinting through the airport. That era, kid would have got shot. Kid would have got.
I said exactly the same thing
right away.
Could you imagine that? Like, this should be Love Actually. It's exactly the same all the way to that. And then someone edits the ending. So it's like, bang! And then he gets his dad. He's got a picture of his mum in one hand and his dead child in the other.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. That I would watch that so much.
I would love that. That'd be a great ending.
What I will say about this movie, there's two things I love about this. One is I love the interplay between all the characters. That everyone is connected, but they don't throw it in your face that everyone is connected. It's subtle and it's interesting. Like the woman who's trying to get with Alan Rickman's character happens to live next door to the woman who's working to whatever her name. What's the actual name? Yeah, Marty McCutcheon. Right? All these little things. Like you don't really mention that the Hugh Grant's sister is, you know, his wife, and like. Those things I think are lovely. I don't like the fact that people keep calling Martin McCutcheon fat. It's like really like, oh, massive thigh. She's in great shape. I'm normally the one that's not like the pro fat acceptance, but she's not fat.
Not at all. Not even close. So it's such an odd thing to put in there.
But I do think it's I do think it's got the greatest cast in any Christmas movie ever.
Very, very.
From the biggest characters to the smallest characters. Let's go through this list. Alan Rickman, Hugh Grant. Who else do we have? Andrew Lincoln. The guy that played Scar in the new Lion King. I can't pronounce his name. Tune it L for. What's the name of the wife? What's a really, really famous? I can't remember her name. Skinny girl.
Oh no, you're thinking of
Emma Thompson. Oh,
Emma Thompson as well.
Emma Thompson. Yes, but and then who else was who's that? What's her name? Why is our mind gone blank? That's really frustrating.
Who's what?
Played the wife he's doing the.
Oh, Keira Knightley.
Keira Knightley, right? Let's. I'm gonna keep going through these lists. I'm actually gonna get the cast up, right? Colin Firth, right? Colin Firth, Emma Thompson, Liam Neeson, Marty McCutcheon, Martin Freeman, Andrew Lincoln from Walking Dead, Bill Nighy, Alan Rickman, Lauren Inez done lots. Joanna Page from Gavin and Stacey.
Let's not forget Rowan Atkinson.
Rowan Atkinson. Rodrigo Santoro from 300. Gregor Fisher from you know what Gregor Fisher's from?
No. The name rings a bell.
Rabsy Nesbitt.
Oh, yeah.
Rabsy Nesbitt.
Of course.
Billy Bob Thornton playing the US President. Chris Marshall. Claudia Schiffer, right? And then now let's get on to when Chris Marshall ends up in America and he meets the women, right? We got Ivana Milcevic. Do you know what she's from?
Go on.
Casino Royale.
Ah, yes, of course.
As the Schiffer's girlfriend. We have Alicia Cuthbert,
right,
who is from The Girl Next Door. Remember that movie?
Okay.
January Jones. Do you know what she's in?
No, don't know that one.
So January Jones, you all know her. Movies and TV shows. She's in Mad Men, X-Men, American Pie: The Wedding.
Okay.
The Boat That Rocks,
right.
Anger Management.
Okay.
Denise Richards.
Yeah, Denise Richards, isn't it?
Also in a Bond movie, right? And Shannon Elizabeth. Is in American Pie 1.
American Pie.
Like, what a cast!
Incredible. Yeah.
It should be on our top 5. We've talked about this more than any other entry.
This is true. the reason it's not is because there's so many bits in it that piss me off, that really piss me off.
Yes,
But
I agree.
it's definitely worth. Definitely worth honourable mention.
I do like the octopus and the nativity as well. What is your next honourable mention?
My next honourable mention is Just Friends.
Ooh, I've not seen this.
Ryan Reynolds.
Ooh, maybe I have.
Ryan Reynolds. I forget the bird.
Tell me about the film whilst I Google
I
it.
forget the bird's name. I want to say Amy Smart, but I might have that very, very, very wrong. So don't quote me on that. No,
Anna
it's
Faris.
Amy Smart and Anna Faris. And Anna Faris is
Yeah.
almost funnier than Ryan Reynolds in it. So Ryan Reynolds is.
And it's Chris Klein.
Oh yeah, man, it's incredible. If you haven't seen it, it will have you roaring. It's the first 3 minutes alone will have you roaring. So Ryan Reynolds is a stereotypical fat kid at school, and he's in the friend zone with Amy Smart, and he's done up braces, like Nutty Professor type prosthetics on, making him look overweight. The first 3 minutes in the set of the film are ridiculously funny. And he gets rejected, goes away to the city, becomes Ryan Reynolds, becomes ripped, becomes charismatic, funny, works for record labels, just, the guy that all the girls want to be with. And then Anna Faris plays a touring singer, kind of a pastiche on Britney, but really, really taking the piss, and she's really dumb and ditzy, but she's so funny in it. And she goes on a tour promoting a new single, and they get overlaid in this hometown because of a snowstorm. They get stuck in this hometown, and he sees the girl that he gets rejected by. And I'm going to leave it there. There's so much more to it than that, but
that is definitely on my list.
Funny moments in there. But I would say it's almost one of the funniest films. One of my favourite comedy films, almost. It's just so I can see it at Christmas. Cool. I pass it in my Christmas round as well. It is incredible.
I'm just going to slight tangent from the honourable mentions, because these aren't honourable mentions. I'm surprised that they aren't. One is Bad Santa, with Billy Bob Thornton playing Santa. Sure. Good movie.
Of course.
The other one is Elf.
Elf is it's definitely, in terms of the routine I have, it's very early on, because I kind of wanted to get it out of the way. I like it. Yeah. But
yes, in
terms of, it's not Will Ferrell's best film. Come on. And if you think it is, then you haven't seen enough Will Ferrell films. But it is a great film, and it is, part of the routine.
I've got 2 more honourable mentions. How many have you got left?
To be fair, that's pretty much mine, but I'll have a think.
Cool. Well, I'll give you one that's also surprisingly not on either of our lists, and that's The Grinch.
Yeah, I get that.
But my 2 are The Holiday. It's cheesy, it's a rubbish, it's a bit crap, but it's quite fun. So essentially, what happens is it's a rom-com, and it's one of those ones where you're like, it's not that good a movie, right? So just stick it on in the background, and it's quite fun. Have you seen We're the Millers?
Yes, yeah.
You know the daughter in the daughter in that. She basically in this movie, and I think she's either just been broken up with. No, she's struggling to get a partner, and a guy who looks a bit like a Hemsworth, but he's not a Hemsworth. They just dumped somebody. And he's like, they're fed up of having people around for Christmas or getting the pressure from families to not have a date on the holidays. So they become each other's holiday. Okay. So whenever there's a holiday, so Paddy's Day, Christmas, Easter, New Year, they go on a date, not non-platonic, but they go and hang out with each other so they don't have to ask the questions. Okay. And it's just a bit of fun, and it's quite good. But my main honourable mention, and it's the only reason this is an honourable mention and not in my top 5, is because technically it's a TV show. Ooh. And not a movie. Ooh. But if you haven't watched this for Christmas, should become part of your staple because it's excellent. Dash and Lily.
Dash and Lily.
It's really good. Yeah. So essentially, it's very clever. So essentially, there's these 2 characters. You've got Dash, is this miserable boy in New York who doesn't like Christmas. And you got Lily, who's this sort of bit of a social outcast, really nice girl, makes her own clothes, loves Christmas, but struggles to make friends. And in order to try and meet someone at Christmas, she wrote in this diary called Do You Dare, and she writes a clue. So and then he stumbles across this book, and he does the dare, and then he writes something back, and they go this back and forth of challenge to do something, leaving the notebook somewhere. And then they slowly get to know each other. And it's a really nice thing, they've never met. And it just builds to this meeting. And it's a really heartwarming Christmas movie Well, it's not a movie, but like short 20-minute episodes. Right. I think there's about 6 of them, and it's great. Cool. And they have the Pogues and Kirsty McCall as part of the soundtrack, which is always making it more Christmassy.
Cool, certainly is. There's one more I'm going to say, which I don't know anyone except maybe my primary school mates, who I don't speak to. It's called a Claymation Christmas Special. And what it was on TV. It was like a late night Channel 4, even though it's not adult at all. I remember we recorded it on VHS, like we're talking late 80s. And what it was all claymation. There was these 2 dinosaurs that were presenting it. I don't know if they're more famous in America as like regular characters or something or not. I don't know. These 2 dinosaurs are at a Christmas festival in this little town, and it's all claymation. And there's about 5 or 6 different Christmas songs with claymation doing it, including, I don't know if you know who these are, the California Raisins. Do you remember the California Raisins from the 80s?
Not at all.
So they were a claymation soul group. So they used to sing all the old classic soul songs, and they do this on the Claymation Christmas Special. But they're raisins, they're California raisins. So animated California raisins doing these songs. They were incredible. Whether it's racist or not, I don't know. But it was incredible. It was incredible. And I try, you can't get it. You can't get it on, like it's nowhere. You won't find it. But you'll probably find it on YouTube in very, very poor upload quality. Because it's from the 80s. No one ever recorded it. So no one ever saw it. But if you are listening to this and you recognise those words, you're going to know what I'm talking about. It's going to make you feel very good.
That reminds me of when I got for Christmas, I got 2 VHS box sets for my parents. Of like really rubbish Spider-Man live action movies. They were rubbish from like the 80s, right? One of them was Spider-Man in Hong Kong. And it's so weird, right? That like I don't know, I was 11?
Yeah.
And then I had this, and now I'm in Hong Kong, and I found it like you said on a really bad quality YouTube video. It's so interesting seeing Hong Kong in the 80s, and I recognise bits, and I watched that as a kid. Yeah. It's so fascinating that comes around. But yeah, like I the other thing you were saying about like things you won't be able to find. One thing, a tradition my family always had. We always watched one Riverdance, and we always watched Peter and the Wolf. And it was a version of Peter and the Wolf where it was like a stage thing, and it was puppets, and the characters were like the instruments that were playing the parts in like dressed up as a wolf, like a trombone with like wolf ears or something like that. Yeah. Very strange, but it's very good, very well done. So, couple of things to close the shows off, right? The first one, I was thinking, today that this is our second Christmas special. It's been a year. And for those people listening to this that don't know, I am moving back to the UK next June. So I will have, and again, this will show who the hardcore podcast listeners are. If you're listening at this point and you want to be part of a live in-studio Christmas party episode of the show, me, Rob, and anyone who's got this far, drop either of us a message. Next Christmas, we'll arrange it. If you like that idea, find a studio live with a few people, 100%. And we'll just chat Christmas stuff. Exactly. The last thing I'm going to end with is a teaser for the first episode of next year. And I hate that I'm reminding you about this. Do you know what we're going to be talking about?
No.
Do you remember who you bet on?
Yeah, they're in the final, weren't they?
Yeah. Do you remember who I bet on? So for people who didn't watch last week's episode I did with Rob, 2 weeks ago when it goes out, we bet on who would get further in the World Cup. It was in the Liver King episode. Who would get further in the World Cup would have to eat raw liver live on the show. And I bet on Brazil because of someone who said they were from the future, bastard robbed me, showed footage of Brazil beating France in the final. Bugger. I went into that England game and I was like, I wanted France to lose more to win this bet than I did for England to win. So I hate Harry Kane and his Johnny Wilkinson impression.
I thought, do you know what, going in that game, knowing that I had said that, to be fair, I didn't watch the game. I haven't watched any. I watched Croatia beat Croatia take Brazil. I saw that, and I really enjoyed that game.
I saw that too.
Reason. I just love Croatia. So yeah, the rules are what? France has to win it, or it's just who gets further.
Unfortunately, who gets further? So I've got raw liver to eat on our first episode of 2023.
But then you can't like liver, you know.
if it's cooked. Like, oh, I'm gonna cheers it like the Liver King, and like, joke's on you when I get really jacked like Liver King.
You're going to end up so primal. It's going to be ridiculous. It's going to happen on the show. You're going to go full.
My beard the week after is going to be huge, and my abs are going to look like they have implants.
Incredible.
I'm going to be £15,000 a month poorer, and it's going to be great. But guys, for anyone listening to this, thank you for listening to us ramble about Christmas movies. A Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, although you will hear from me after Christmas. But have a great Christmas, everyone who's listening to this. And yeah, Rob, I will speak to you in the new year.
Indeed. Let's do it.
Guys, thank you very much for watching the podcast. If you're like me and like to binge watch podcast episodes, click here for our most recent episode. And if you enjoy the show and want to be updated when new videos come live, click here to subscribe to the channel.